I speak to prospects all the time. One thing about the E2 visa that keeps coming back up all the time, people believe, or they have been led to believe, the fact that somehow 80, 90, or $100,000 is enough to buy a business. Somehow they think, oh, it's okay if you buy a corner store or a liquor store in some ghetto somewhere. We're going to get E2 visa and it's going to be a good business and it's going to generate value. I'm sure people who are watching us, some of them think that $100,000 go a long way to an extent that you can buy a business and it can sustain your family. So I keep hearing this all the time. Unfortunately, some of you guys need a reality check. Look, hear it from me. Okay, I've been there, done that. $100,000 doesn't go a long way in this country. If you're thinking about buying an existing business, I want to buy an existing business, 100K, and my family will depend on it. You're dreaming. I'm sorry, but you're dreaming, right? You need to come to the reality that 100K, best what you can buy yourself is maybe a good franchise, something that could be considered as a job, but something that will require your time and effort in it. If you're willing to spend 300K, 250, 400K, and in some places maybe even a little less than 200K, you might find some legitimate existing businesses. But coming back to the experience of the people that you have interviewed, and Visa Franchise helped over 2,000 people over the course of a decade. Who do you think is the best profile that is best positioned to success and coming to America, obtaining the E2 visa, and setting up a business? How do that person look like?
I would say late 20s to early 40s, and you've already are successful compared to your peers. When you look at your pay or your job title, whatever, like you're in the top 5%, maybe top 1%, and the US is the next place for your talent to really flourish. And maybe you have a little family money, but you're really more self-made, and this investment in the United States needs to work. Your life depends on it. You're going to be providing money for your family based on this business. Maybe your spouse is going to work a little bit in the business in the beginning before finding a job. But I would say that's the profile. You've already had success. I can't make you successful. I can help you continue on the trajectory here in the US, but I can't this is the most competitive market.
Of course.
There's a lot of talent here all over the world. We get some of the best doctors across the globe moving here, best technologists. You're not just competing with native-born Americans. You're competing with the best immigrants in the world. So you got to bring your A game. You're going to have to work really hard, and there's a lot of competition, but you have crazy economies of scale. And if you hit it well and there's right product market fit, whether locally in your neighborhood, extended neighborhood, and you're offering a franchise service, offering a service through a franchise, your own independent business, or it's a virtual type business that you can serve Americans throughout the US, you can make a lot of money. Where in Turkey or most of Europe, it would take one generation to have that wealth. And here it could take 5 to 10 years to have generational wealth. But yeah, I would say bring your A game. The clients that are on the best, generally late 30s, early 40s, and it needs to work. Their family's depending on this. They need the business to work, and they're going to make it work. It's going to work. You don't know if it's going to work in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. I can't tell you that. We can study that together and see, when the break-even point is for past entrepreneurs like you, or if it's other franchisees. We'll work together on that. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to you, and bring your A game.
No, well, first of all, that's been inspirational talk. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick Findaro. The reason why we came to this conclusion is something in the green card by investment realm was changing. And that was EB-5.
The investment amount.
Yes, EB-5 seems to be out. Gold card seems to be coming in. And okay, we basically said, hey, look, there's this alternative that is E2. But for most of our clients, they're like, okay, how is it an alternative? It's a non-immigrant visa.
Well, it's priced at 2% of the value of the $5 million. So you're saying it's priced at $100K. Even if the staffer, the consulate officer started really adjudicating them where you should have already spent $200,000, that's what, 4%?
Something like that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not the green card right away. We'll work on ways to get you the green card. Like
now,
EB-2
talk to me about
NIW.
those ways now. EB-5 going out of game.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like the doors open and shut, and
So what are the ways? So for example, say some of our clients, they come here, get the E2 visa, they settle down, they're working in their businesses, and things are going well. They like the country, they change their mind, they want to stay here permanently. What green card options they would have?
most of our clients say, yeah, almost over the past 10 years. For the first part of that, the most popular option was for them to obtain a green card through the spouse. The spouse would go through the perm process where the company that was sponsoring them for the green card would have to assess the local wages that are being paid, and the offer would have to be higher than Americans for that type of role, or equal to, and they would get a green card through their spouse, whether that be the EB-2 category or the EB-3 category. We've had some unique situations in other categories like EB-1C, EB-5, but that was most of it. But then what started to happen was there was an update with USCIS, a ruling rather, that opened up this EB-2 NIW. NIW is National Interest Waiver. Mm-hmm. And that program opened up, and it was available for people immediately as long as you weren't born in India or China, and you could sponsor yourself. So that was a great alternative for clients that were doing education-related businesses, technology-related businesses. We have clients that do in-home caregiving services for seniors, and that's of the national importance. Or, a few clients that invested in franchises but went back to what they invested in a franchise. Like I think of one client invested in a restaurant, but for the NIW, it was really more based on a consulting business, really connected to what he did in his home country. So we had cases like that, or maybe the spouse going the EB-2 NIW, but then it evolved again where the wait now is 2 to 3 years. Forget if you're Indian, getting an NIW if you're born in India, 50 plus years. 50 is our latest estimate.
It's not
just
50,
us, but
it's 15.
There's different
on paper.
Yeah, exactly. On paper, I think it's like 12.5. But
Yeah.
if you do really run out the math, there are beyond just myself, Patrick, people that think it's like well over 50 years, and we hope that will be remedied. We pray that will be remedied. But the EB-1A is current, so if you meet 3 of 10 criteria showing that you're in the top of your field, one of those, say, being high paid, that you're highly compensated, highly remunerated for your services, and a lot of the entrepreneurs that we work with in their home country, say in Brazil, France, Italy, Canada, they were in the top 1%, 2%, 5% of entrepreneurs, and they're able to meet that criteria. And there's a few other criteria that they can meet. They can apply for the EB-1A. So those are direct paths that the approval rate is around 70% for those categories. We'll see it traditionally was higher, and especially if you have a STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics type field, it's higher. It's closer to 80, 90%. But that has been the go-to path for our clients to obtain permanent residency for them and their family over the past few years, because the employer sponsorship, a lot of less employers are amenable to sponsoring their employees, and the time frame has just been kicked out. Or I mentioned 2 to 3 years for NIW, where employee sponsorship might be 3 to 4 years.
Right. Patrick, my takeaway from this, and this came out, I was in my living room and just saw the announcement of Gold Card, and I remember thinking about, and even potentially message you too, or you message me and say, we need to do an episode about this and highlight the fact that how E2 visa is still an amazing opportunity out there for a lot of people.
As of today, you can get in at 2% of the value
the gold
of the
card.
Gold Card.
Correct.
So 100K,
yeah,
you're in, as opposed to the 5 mil, and then we should be able to work on a strategy with our in-house attorney, with the filing attorneys, strategy attorneys that we work with in our network, to get a compelling case. And it might take 6 months, 12 months to really work on yourself and build up your CV and go out there and apply for awards and push to be in the press. So it might take some time, but I think it's definitely...
But you got the luxury of time. You got 5 years and you can renew it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Focus first on making sure the business is successful, and then working with Visa Franchise, we'll provide the proper tools to... If you want to stay here with your family and you want to set down permanent roots, we'll work together on that.